wonderful Sunday. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Devin. Hi, Larry. Hey, Robert. Hey, guys. Hi, Jean. All right. So hopefully I am live. Hopefully this is working. So, well, I'll just give it a few minutes. So, see, now I see people coming on. So, all right. So, let me get a drink. And then, of course, we can start. So we can just take a deep breath. So, and welcome in our higher levels. Okay. So, the authentic part of ourselves. So, and just put everything outside of us. So, all of the shoulds, all of the have tos, all of the pressure, the stress, when it feels like the world is caving in, okay, that's the pressure of the ego. So, hey guys, hey Moon Fairy, hey Leilani, hi Heather. Julie says audio is working. I think there's a lag time, so, and of course, probably my Wi-Fi is not fantastic. So now I can see you guys coming into the chat. Okay, so now I know it's working. Okay, Steve says I can see you. So okay, great. So yeah, so this is something that is kind of foreign. So in a way, okay, because so many humanity right now is so used to perceiving themselves to be the ego. So and the ego is all about us versus them, you versus me, okay, and it's a constant competition. And yeah, so humanity perceives themselves to be the ego, and then it creates the perception that this is a prison planet, the body is a prison, and all of that. So just before we begin, so we can welcome in our higher levels, our entourage, and ask them to come in and to come forth and really put everything that is not us outside of us. Okay, so hi Beverly, hi Dust Bunny, hey Francis, hey Donna. So yeah, so of course we're here to have fun. Valnick says, tell them I said hi. He is showing me, so he and my entourage, okay, is showing me a forest, okay? And I can see the trees, and he says it's only up from here. So he means we're growing like trees. It's only up from here. So so wonderful. So hi, Anne. Anne's from Cape Town. Francis says lots of NPCs are cropping up. So hey, so all right. So NPCs, it's an interesting thing. So everybody, so we're always having fun. This is going to be a fun question. The thing is, so, and we've talked about NPCs several times, right? So what an NPC is, so there's the body, of course, okay, and then you have the brain, it's the mind, okay, and then you have the conglomerate of past lifetimes, misperceptions, stuff that you've bought into, okay, and what happened, mass consciousness, okay, so how everything should look, the American dream, okay, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, perception, layers of perceptions, okay, in mass consciousness, like the Matrix, okay, if you want to imagine it that way. So what happens is okay, you are the light that comes into the body that gives everything life, and then we're scanning the mind, or going into the mind, and the mind is scanning mass consciousness and the ego, and then you as the creator buy into it, okay? So, and many are so afraid to live life, so they go into the background and just let the ego be in the driver's seat and the mind be in the driver's seat. And so, and that's what a lot of people call a non-player character. But how, I mean, it's an interesting thing, because so many on the internet are laughing at others. You're a non-player character, ha ha ha. But like, haven't you been there too? So why point the finger? You know, so if you know who you are, right? So the creator would never put down or judge another creator. So if someone is an NPC or perceives themselves to be the ego, that's wonderful, okay? But I know who I am and I'm not playing there anymore. And if you would like assistance, then I'm here, but I am not here as myself and in myself and through myself to make fun of you or to make and create more labels to build myself up and put another person down. Because actually what you're doing is you actually don't have, and I'm not saying this is, see, I can pick on Francis a little bit. So, because we are friends, you know, so, but I'm not saying this is you, Francis, just the perception of it. But what you do as a creator, so you don't have the power actually to put another person down. So what you're doing when you put another down, you're actually just making yourself smaller and you're putting yourself down. So you're playing a game with yourself. The only way, and it's like the cabal or the deep state or whoever, and really if you look really closely, all humans do this until they don't, right? Is they use fear to try to get people to do what they want them to do. And the only way they can remain in power is if you buy into it. So the only way someone can make you smaller is if you agree with their judgment. And why would you do that? You know, so Educated Gypsy says, what if NPCs are just taking a break? We all get tired of this awakening. It's exhausting at times. So yeah, so so, and like I said, so let's bring as much as we can. So continue to, and our entourage, they're very excited to do this on the live. So we are creating this live together, okay? And so in our entourages, okay, and our higher levels are very excited to come in. So the idea that Earth is a prison planet, well, if it is that way, it's that way because we created it that way. And so you create a cage for yourself, okay? So which is an interesting thing. So and only you have the power to walk out of it. And how do you do that? You bring in your higher levels. So taking in a deep breath, so moving your consciousness from in between the eyebrows down into your heart. Okay, and it's not about thinking or buying into or believing what Megan says or what my entourage says or what this person says. It's about feeling who you are. So with that thought, let me get a drink. So we all get tired of this awakening. It's exhausting at times. So this will be fun. So is that statement, is that you in yourself and as yourself and through yourself, or is that coming from your ego? So because of course the ego is exhausted because it never gets to its destination, right? So one day it'll be in 5D, one day it'll be in heaven, one day everything will be okay, and it's on a hamster wheel. So of course the ego is exhausted, but are you? So those are two different things. So because humanity wants to know who we want to know who we are. So, and we don't the ego is it's not that we don't care about the ego, but in a sense we don't care too much about who the ego or what the ego wants, right? So because exhaustion. So how could the creator be tired of finding out who it is, right? So, or discovering itself. That's it just keeps on growing and growing and growing. So so are you tired of waking up, or are you tired of all the stuff that you are constantly running away from? That's the question here. So because so many, especially now, so now that Donald Trump is in office, so many are saying, okay, so everything's going to be great, everything's going to be fine, and key word is going to be. So it's always a moving target. Instead of being ourselves right here, right now, what more could you want? So there's still an attachment there, and there's still, so everything is going to be great means that there's a perception where everything is not so good. And so we, instead of looking inward or expanding and really noticing the story of the ego, we just keep pushing the goalposts and running away from what we want to actually look at and what we want to transcend. So it's just, but of course it is, Shelley says, I'm tired of all the evil everywhere. So yes, so, and it's an interesting, the thing is, and I've talked about it many times. So with the animals, so my June, so June, I'm not outside, so June has to come into the session, of course, so or into the live. So we'll welcome Junie energetically, of course. So we can't see the physical body or the body she inhabits right here, right now, but of course she is the creator, she is omnipresent, she is everywhere. So, and if she is everywhere, if the creator is everywhere, where is there room for any evil? So it's an interesting thing. Marcia says, Junie and I are BFFs. I love my June. So, so anyways, so the perception, so the evil, the darkness, so the animals don't have that. So it's interesting. So why do the humans? So many perceive that there's evil everywhere, right? And it is true. Okay, so there's parts of the subconscious that have bought into this, especially because, well, many of us have had so many lifetimes, okay, and lifetimes where it felt like the world was against us, okay? So, and then you bring that into this lifetime, and that's the filter you see things through, because you're not seeing it through your eyes, you're seeing it through the eyes of the ego. So things are not going the way that you want them to, and so the world is against you, and so everything is, and everyone is evil, and everyone's doing things to you or affecting you in a perceptively negative way. Okay. And yes, of course, things are not going to go the ego's way because they never do. Okay. And it's never enough. Okay. That's why you see all these celebrities. So they're rich, they're famous, they're perceptively attractive according to society, according to mass consciousness. Okay. And then but they feel so alone. Okay. They still feel so even more outside of themselves than they ever have been. And then they get into drugs and alcohol, and then oftentimes they end up leaving the body because there's nothing, they've gone so far into the ego and they've cut themselves off from who they perceptively cut themselves off from who they truly are. It's almost it's easier just to come back into a different body. So so the thing is with evil or with darkness. So what is darkness? Darkness is the absence of light. So it's a rumor, right? So evil, we can laugh, let's laugh at evil a little bit because it doesn't hurt to laugh at anything, okay? But somewhere in the mist, okay, there's this evil energy, okay, this cloud over humanity that is constantly trying to tear humanity down and make our lives miserable and blah, 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 blah. And no one's ever seen this evil, or we've never actually had proof of it. It's actually just something we've created within our own minds, because when you haven't integrated all of your light, what we're here to do is to bring our higher levels into the body. So bring the love that we are into the body, okay? And the more we transcend the ego, the density is released, and then there's more room for the creator, there's more room for the love to come in, okay? And when you've integrated a lot of your higher levels into the body. When you've integrated the light into the body, you don't see the darkness. You don't project the darkness outside of you and see it out in the world. Okay, you actually see things through the eyes of love, which is everything is perfect, everything is fun, and everything is wonderful. So so what it is you're actually picking up on the absence of yourself, okay, the absence of light. Okay, that's where you get the darkness from, and you're projecting it outward into your reality. And then you're seeing darkness everywhere. So, and this is why there's no savior that can, I can hear Valnek popping in. So there's no, he says, I am ready to speak, and he has a microphone. He is saying that he is joking with me. So sometimes I am not, well, very talkative. So, but today I am. So he's making a joke that I'm talkative. Anyways, I forgot what I was saying. I lost it. It's gone. The thought is gone. Boop. So I forgot what I was saying. Oh, there's no savior that can come down and take us away from all the darkness, because the darkness is the absence of our light. Okay, so the only way to get rid of the darkness is to bring our light into this realm. Okay, in and through and around the body. Okay, and then we're experiencing ourselves, not the ego, not the darkness, okay, not the subconscious, but we're experiencing ourselves, and that's heaven on earth. Okay, so yeah, so there is no, not the Galactic Federation, not some extraterrestrial, not Sananda, okay? They cannot bring our light into this realm and get rid of the darkness. Only we can do that. So, and before we came here, okay, we all said, yeah, woo. So let's do it, you know? So, and we're very confident, okay? So it's just, it's just and that's what it is. He says, I have a message. I will remind Megan of our discussion earlier, and he's winking and underlining this. I'm just reading his mind because it's best if I use my words to explain this. Okay, so but it is a message from him and from our entourage. He says, don't forget, he's saying basically everyone. Okay, so all of our higher levels together. So, and there have been times, if you actually look, maybe not closely, but from a zoomed out perspective. So there have been times in history where the aliens actually have had interactions physically with humanity, okay? And did it work out so well? So, and the answer is no. It actually did not work out so well, okay, because it's, they even showing up physically, what does that really do? Because they cannot change their level, humanity's level of consciousness, okay, especially by showing themselves. It's actually a detriment to show themselves, because humanity is so stuck, or, and especially in the past, we're evolving, okay, but stuck in victim mode, that as soon as they see someone from the sky or wherever, or perceptively better technology or whatever, they jump. Well, the ego grabs onto it and they make them into a god or make them into a savior. Okay, and that's what's happened in the past. He says these are the end times, and he's laughing, he's winking. He says those times are over, never again, and he's underlining it. um, yeah. So let me actually look at some questions here in the chat or on Patreon. Hey, Tony. Let's see. Tom says, I saw I saw some intel that Trump was killed in a plane helicopter crash. In the plane helicopter crash, do you have any confirmation of this? So I assume you're talking about the one that was in DC, by the airport, over the Potomac River. So hold on, let me get a drink. I will ask Valnek if he wants to answer. He says you go first. So I'll go first. So the thing is, so let me read it again. I saw intel that Trump was killed in the plane helicopter crash. Do you have any confirmation of this? So what is the root of this sentence? Okay. So the thing is, so whoever has this intel, right? So it's just, see, the thing is this is just the level of consciousness humanity is at. Okay. So it's not that anyone is evil or compromised or a fraud or whatever. It's just the level of consciousness. People, this is the subconscious. People they're not aware of what they're doing. Because see, the thing is about awakening, why are you doing what you're doing? Why would anyone put this out on the internet? And how does this intel, how does it assist humanity? Okay, so this is a fear. Well, basically it's out of fear, right? So don't you guys think it's getting too good now? You know, he was killed, blah blah blah. Okay, thanks. Thanks, but no thanks. Perhaps not. Perhaps not. I just have to laugh at some of this stuff because it's so it's out of fear, right? So, and a lot of social media, right, what it is, and people don't realize what they're doing. So it's mass consciousness. Okay, so they have to present a problem, okay, and then they sell you the solution. It's a hamster wheel, right? So present a problem, they put the following or whoever reads into it in victim mode, okay? So somewhere something bad happened, everyone automatically, whoever buys into it, they're in victim mode, and then the same people that put that out there, now they're the hero. Okay? So, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. So, I mean, it's and people, again, they don't really, it's an unconscious thing, so it's not that anyone has bad intentions, okay? It's just they literally don't know why they're doing what they're doing. So a lot of times it's well, truthfully, it's to get love, okay? So if people, it's a perception of the ego, okay? So if people buy into, if I get so many clicks or so many views on this post, if people buy into what I'm saying, then I will get love and then I will find my way home. And the only way to find home is within you, not through other people. Okay, so Francis says, I like my own Black Hawk. Ragamuffin says, fear porn, clickbait. Yeah, so it's just it's just a lot of it. So, and everyone's still trying to find their way home through the mind. So one day, so generally, so a lot of people, okay, I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to see a post and it's going to, basically, I'm going to find some sort of solace, some sort of hope, and it's going to get me back to my higher levels. And it will in a way, okay, but not actually by buying into anything. It's actually about coming out of the mind and into the heart, because that's where you are. So the brain is just an information processor. So Valnik, so did Trump die in the helicopter? So he is laughing. He says, I have said this many times. He says, I agree with Megan. He's showing me newspapers and he's saying fake news, and he's showing Trump with what do you call it, not like a microphone, but one of those things like a cheerleader would have, and he's saying fake news. He says, listen to your heart. This is where the truth lies. He says, Megan can show you the difference. Okay, so yeah, so like I said, so truth is not found. It's not, you don't buy into the truth, or you don't change your way of thinking or believe, I believed this and now I believe that. Okay, that's just the mind, and that's just the ego talking. So your higher levels, you are the truth. So it's a knowing, okay, and tuning in from the heart and actually feeling. So not the feelings that the mind creates, but again, expanding into your body, okay, and just letting, can just do it right now. So, and I I'm here to hold the energy for everyone in our higher levels, and of course my Junie wants to. Someone says a megaphone. Kim says a megaphone. Yes, thank you. So we put that chitter chatter box. So when you hear that, it can feel very intense. Okay, I understand why people buy into it, and why people even believe that it's an angel, or in some cases God, or the aliens, or whatever, because it can be very convincing, and it can feel very aggressive in a way. I'm trying to find the right word, but just really energetically trying to pull you into it. So let's just put that all outside of us, okay? So and we can just tell it, okay, that's fine, but I'm communicating with my higher levels now. I'm communicating with myself, okay? So and letting all of the pressure fade away, and bringing in the love that you are, the beautiful presence that you are, okay, and as much as you can. And we can even say, I want to be shown the truth. I want to be shown the truth of who I am, okay? So, and it will come, and it will come however it's best for you to experience yourself. That's how it will be shown to you right here, right now, okay? So for me, how I experience myself is different than the way you experience yourself, and so on and so forth, okay? So in literally dropping your consciousness into the heart and feeling into the body. And the more you do this, and the more you address the ego, the more of you will come into the body. And then there won't be, literally, the truther community or news stations will go out of business, to be honest. I mean, why do we need them in the first place? So it's the hamster wheel. So unless I could understand how it would be wonderful. So for my social media, it's to share who I am, right? So, but not who the ego is. So that's the difference, okay? So, and just welcome ourselves into the body. So, Sleeping Giant says things are more complicated than we can imagine. Well, the truth is actually very simple. So the mind complicates things, and it needs to put everything into its box and try to compartmentalize things, and that's fine, you know. So have fun, mind. So we are coming out of the mind, you know, and then what happens is the truth expands. So yeah. So okay, so let me get more questions. Heather says, how do you get past the mind without analyzing it? My newest obstacle. So, wonderful question. So, is it you that's analyzing it, Heather? So I know Heather's on the chat. So Heather, if you want to play, if you want to play with me, so let's play. So, so I'll look for Heather's response. So, because Heather and I have been friends for a while, so forever. So, so Heather, so how do you get past the mind without analyzing it? Well, is it your mind? So is it you analyzing it, or is something else? Is it you analyzing it? Heather says, let's go. So we'll bring in your presence, bring in your higher levels, okay? So and again, so put that part that wants to be in control of everything and blah blah blah. That's nice. Put it outside of you, okay? So because why do you need to analyze anything? So and what does analyzing mean? So really, analyzing is just trying to, what you're doing is trying to find the truth. Heather says, damn, it's my ego. Exactly. So it's what's happening here is, and it's tricky. So that's why I said it's tricky because it will get you, right? So you are going into, again, instead of looking to yourself and into the heart for the truth, what's happening is you're going into the mind, and the mind is analyzing things, and then you're going into the ego, and then the ego is saying is telling another story about how you shouldn't be, you need to get past the mind and you need to stop analyzing or blah blah blah. So again, it's just the story of the ego wanting to be in control. So that's wonderful, ego. So you can analyze everything that you want. What it means is it's judging everything, right? So that's what you're doing when you're analyzing something. You're judging it. See how it got you? So Heather says, my ego is very witty now. So, and well, the ego thinks it knows everything, right? So, and it actually, let's ask it. So Heather can put the ego outside of you again, and let's ask it. So who am I, ego? That's a fun game. So, because it's always trying to analyze, really a different word I would like to use better is judging everyone and everything. Okay, but does it, who am I, ego? Can you tell me who I am? And what does it say? It will start to get quiet very quickly because it doesn't know. It's just trying to get you to buy into an identity or a perception or whatever to make itself a reality. So it can continue to run the show. Blah, blah, blah. Like I said, you know. So, yeah, so it doesn't have anything to say because the ego does not know what the creator is. So I've talked about this before. It's judging or analyzing everything, okay? But you are love. You are the light that has given life to everything. You expand the entire universe, okay? So how the ego actually cannot understand what the creator is because it's the alpha and the omega. It's everything and nothing. It's that's why it's funny to ask the ego. It doesn't really know, and so that's why it cannot put you into a box. You cannot stuff the creator into a box, right? So Heather says, I am everything. Yeah, it's a bit dark, like the sun keeps going in and out, so I promise I'm not sitting in the dark. So, but anyways, so yeah, so that's a fun game to play. So so let's see here. I can see Valnik eating popcorn just listening. So he says, I will let Megan run the show. She does a good job. Yeah, he is encouraging me to share. He says it would be helpful to people if I share my own struggles. So, yeah, so of course, I have transcended quite a lot, but there's still part of my ego that is still there. So that I am still searching for parts of myself and welcoming myself back in, and still lighting my body up and lighting the world up, right? So there's still uh, he says, tell them about your horse, what you love to do. I thought I was gonna run the show. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So, yeah, so what he's getting at though, so that's for me. So connecting with the horses, that's how if my ego is just going nuts and it feels so strong, so that's what I do. I go play with my horses, right? And so there's a video, like a TikTok video or Instagram, I don't know, where, and it's of a rider, and you can hear all of like the chitter chatter. It's literally like sound, like blah, 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 blah. And then as soon as she swings her leg over her horse and mounts the horse, then it goes away. And that's exactly like that for me too. So anyway, so something like that. So that's why why there's animals, okay, and why there's also others to connect with. So and that's why I do these videos. So not to convince anyone of anything or have the best intel or whatever that means. It's just to shine my light, and then people get a glimpse of what it feels like to be back home. So or to be home, to be yourself. And then they feel the love that I am, and then they, of course, start to feel the love that they are. It's a magnetic thing, and then they open up. So, but for me, yeah, so when my ego is really going blah, 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 so, so I go and hang out with Junie or the horses, or just anyways, just for fun. So, so yeah, so I've been riding Chance, and Chance and I have been having so much fun. So, and I've talked about him before. He's my friend's upper level eventing horse, he's not retired, but he's not going to be doing upper level stuff anymore. So I've been riding him, and he is so fun. So, and the great thing about thoroughbreds, most of them, I won't say, all of them, but in general, the breed is they're very athletic, and they're always game for everything. So anytime I get on Chance, he's like ready to go. Even his lazy days aren't what I would consider lazy for most horses. So he's always ready to do anything and everything. So, and I'm excited for the weather to get nice, so then we can go outside and do cross country. So, hey Doug, hey Monica. So Sandra says, I always had a thought or intuitive feeling I would have an issue with my heart, then it'd be fixed and I'd be fine for many years. I am just home from hospital where I had a heart attack from a spontaneous coronary artery dissection. Did I create this from my thoughts, or was it my own psychic premonition? How do we know? So, yes. So let me get a drink before I answer. So the thing is, so you may have had how this happens, I'll explain, okay? So your entourage, your higher levels, they are connected not to your ego, the big loud thing that is usually pretty angry, upset, and the world is darkness and blah, 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 okay? So, and I make light of the ego on purpose because everything is very serious to the ego, okay? So right here, right now, I bring my higher levels in, okay, and I am translating myself, the mind. I'm using my mind to translate my higher levels, okay, and who I am, okay. So it's not intuition or anything that's external to me. I'm literally using my mind to translate how I feel, what I'm tuning into, stuff with my entourage, and when I tune into you guys, and the energy and the questions and all of that. Okay. So, but so many, so you can get the feeling, okay, from you, okay, and then of course that generates a thought because the mind translates it, okay. But so often what happens too is the ego gets in the way and muddles it, or you're just picking up on the ego and perceiving it as you, or other entities or mass consciousness or other stuff like that. Okay, so how do we know the difference? So, and it's very simple. So instead of just hearing a thought, so it's actually about tuning into the energy behind it. So, and is this from love? And I mean, not the kind of love that humanity has created from the mind, where you do something for me and I do something for you, and that's love. I mean, true unconditional love without limits and without expectations. So, what's the feeling behind it? And does your body feel relaxed? Or when you tune into the thought, does your body tense up? And that's the key, that it's the ego or something else that's not you or of the best and highest good. Okay. So, oh, Connie says, sorry, I got distracted with the horse comment. I rode a thoroughbred, 17 and a half hands. We had a blast. Love my horse. We are bonded. Yes, they can be quite fun. So, so that's how you know the difference. And it's a journey. Okay. So it's not like sometimes you perceive what you think is you to be the ego, and then that leads you down a road, and then you encounter a lot of roadblocks, and then you look within and you're like, oh, that wasn't me, and how did I get here? And then you look within, and then you everything is an experience, right? So nobody is yeah, so and that's the fun of life, right? So, and the thing is, so did I create this with my thoughts, or was it my own psychic premonition? So, yeah, I've talked about this before. So, the more light you bring into the body, okay, the more you transcend the ego, the more you take responsibility for yourself and address the ego, and the ego dissolves, the more room there is for you in the body, and the light comes into the body. And then the body is making and recreating itself in your likeness and image, okay? And your likeness and image alone, okay? So, but because so many are, well, afraid to live life or afraid to look within and have perceived themselves to be the ego, the body is receiving mixed messages. So it's making itself in the likeness and image of the ego. Okay, oftentimes it's about what the body should look like, which it's not of love at all. It makes things very difficult for the body. Okay, and just in other stuff. So and then of course that causes blockages in your energy field where disease forms. Okay, so so it's not that it goes away or heals itself. It's actually, this is an opportunity to say, okay, because the body heals itself because you're in the body and it's responding to you. Okay, so this is actually a wake-up call, right? Because very easily a coronary artery dissection is a very serious thing. Okay, so not serious in the ego's way, but just for, I don't have another word for it, but it's a what it is. So it could have gone a different way, right? And so it's a wake-up call. So you have the choice, right? Do I want to continue on the path that I've been on? So constantly going with the ego and not looking within and pointing the finger outward, okay, or whatever, and just basically caught up in the drama and trauma of the ego, okay? Or do I want to open my heart and come into the body, and then the body will heal itself because it's responding to you. So it's actually a choice that you have presented. So it doesn't feel like you chose this, right? So because you've bought into the ego, so it feels like your higher levels are outside of you, okay? So, but this is really a choice that your higher levels have said, okay, so do you want to continue the path that you're on, okay, or do you want to make a change, okay? So, and open up, because doing the same thing over and over again, okay, what is at this point in time, your higher levels are not interested in doing that anymore, which is why you didn't leave the body when you had the heart attack, okay, because many do. That's their way of leaving the planet, okay, so but you didn't. So now you have the choice. It's a choice that you, not that you have to, but it's a choice that you make every day, okay, to say, I'm going to address the ego and I'm going to find out who I am, okay. So, and your higher levels have chosen to stay, okay. So, woo, Sandra, okay, but it's just that, see, if you keep going with the ego, so there's not really much of a point to keep doing that, right? So and that's when people drop the body, okay. So and I know I'm gonna poke so many holes in the chat, and so many people, well, so there may be some that perceive it a certain way, okay. So, and maybe Sandra, maybe your ego won't enjoy that response either, but that's okay. So because that's actually what your higher levels have asked me to do, okay. So there is a door opening for you, okay, but you have a choice whether or not you want to walk through it, okay. So, and then of course, as you become more and more of who you are, the body also responds and becomes lighter and lighter and lighter, okay. So so that's my thoughts on that. Julie says, I retreated and rested many times inside my Heavenly Father's heart. So, yeah, yes, so the Heavenly Father. Where is he? Dad, where are you? So, the Heavenly Father. So, I mean, the thing is, so I am the love that I am. You are the love that you are. Every divine being, okay, is the love that they are. So why would they need to retreat into somebody else's heart when they are the love that they are? So this is the thing. I'm glad you brought this up, because you cannot get the love from other people, not the Heavenly Father, not not anybody, not any being, okay. You have to find it within yourself, okay. So because this is the cycle humanity has been stuck in, right. So Francis says, Dad. So so, and it's interesting too, because God so God does not have a gender, okay? God is the light, God is love, God does not have a body, okay? So, and isn't it interesting that God is a man? So, I wonder who wrote that book. Was it a woman? Probably not. You know, back then they did not teach women to read and write. But if they did, if a woman wrote the book, then maybe God would be a woman, and we'd be all going to rest in our mother's heart, right. So so these it's just there's layers to the human perspective, right. So and there's so much of this is in the subconscious, right. So it's wonderful. So I get to come and poke holes in the egos, right. So and we all do, because it's a finding love outside of yourself, okay. That's where you get the feelings of loneliness, right. So and so many are searching for the Heavenly Father because they feel so alone, and they've bought into the idea that when they find the Heavenly Father, or they get to heaven, then they will feel at home, they'll be at home within themselves, right. And how is that possible? Okay, so how could another being complete you? So, like I said in the beginning of the live, so there is no other being that can bring the light that you are, the love that you are, into this realm. Okay, all of this comes from the perception that the love is outside of you, okay? And it is very real because, like I said, when you buy into it, then you make it real for yourself. And then everything becomes more very, very, very dense, right? So, and it becomes harder and harder to see it from the from a greater perspective, right? So so uh Valnik is showing me fireworks. He says the best is yet to come. He wants me to explain. So it's not coming outside of you, though. It's actually about experiencing yourself as yourself. Okay. So, and it can only get better because we've, for so long, for eons, he says the supervisor has a message. He says, I'd love to interrupt. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I know. I just keep talking and talking and talking. I haven't even let Falnik get in a he says I do not mind. He says I love to watch. He says my favorite show, The People of Terra. He's showing himself watching a TV, and on the TV screen it says The People of Earth. He says very entertaining, not a bad show, and he's winking. So he says we have a message, and he's pointing to our friends, the supervisor. He says, I will translate for Megan. They're showing me movie roles again, okay? And it's different time periods. So, like a caveman, okay, and then ancient Greece and Rome and Egypt, uh, and then the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, okay? So, he's showing me words. He's saying the beginning of time, and then there's movie roles stacked on top, okay? So, and he's in each film, okay, there's a person going like this. And he says, searching for love, what your people call God. And he's putting it in quotation marks. So he's saying these are the end times, and he's winking, and he's showing a break. I'm just going to explain it energetically. So no more playing characters, no more playing roles, no more living in a movie or perceiving yourself to be a character in a movie, but you're just being who you are. Okay, that was actually the intention behind creation in the first place. Okay, so not to buy into, so perceive yourself to be the mind, and then the mind created the ego and went into judgment, okay, but actually experiencing who you are, okay, and not searching for yourself outside of yourself. So if you actually look, Devin says soap opera Terra, yeah. Yeah, so I just lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me in just a second. Something about, anyways, I'll just keep talking. Something about playing a character, perceiving yourself to the ego, to be the ego. What the heck was I saying? Oh yeah. So if you look throughout history, okay, so in these times, like, so if you actually sit with yourself, your higher levels, and instead of, so when people look at the Akashic records, so you might go to a psychic or whoever, and they read your Akashic records and say you were a captain of a ship, you were Cleopatra, whatever. You actually, it's still perceiving things from their own understanding, okay? So it's not wrong, but you actually are none of those things. So you've had those experiences, okay? But it's not about reading the Akashic records and then still perceiving yourself to be that person living out that reality. It's actually, why did I go into that experience, and what did I go into it wanting to transcend? Okay, and there's a big difference between doing that and then just going to to someone and you're told, oh, and you lived in the Pleiades or whatever. So that's all wonderful, but it's really about the experience. So, and if you actually look, so this is very real, all of these perceptions, which is why so many are still buying into it. It's in the subconscious, and there's actually parts of you or aspects of you that are still keeping it alive because you haven't welcomed them back home yet. Okay, so so like I said, so the only way the new world can come in, the new paradigm can come in, is if actually you look within. It's not that those realities still physically exist. Like obviously ancient Egypt, you can go and visit the ruins, okay? But there may still be a part of you that is stuck, that bought into what was going on in that lifetime, okay, and is still keeping it alive in your subconscious energetically, okay? So that's when the supervisor and I look at the Akashic records. That's, for me, that's what we do, okay? So or anybody else on Patreon or whatever when we're working together. So but when you do this, you will realize, so many perceive God so that there's one God, right? So that's been a philosophy that humanity has had. So there's the God, the one God outside of them, or the Egyptians, the Greeks, or whatever. There's many gods, right? And there's a God in the sky who makes it rain, okay? Or there's a God in the sky who, if you want to have a baby, a goddess, so you give thanks to the goddess, and then she makes it happen, right? So, and it's still the perception. So there's the perception from the ego. So because you're actually the one in the driver's seat, you're the one running the show. Okay, not anybody or any being outside of you. So no being has the power to influence your life like that. It's actually you're the one running the show. Anywho, it's almost that time. Let's see. So let me just look at some more questions. Lisa says, after some sessions, it's harder to find words to focus my mind, but easier to feel my heart. I'm guessing over time, my brain function, speech, and my heart will join up. So yeah, that's actually a great point. So because we're actually taking you out of the mind, okay? So the consciousness that you were buying into, when you transcend it in a session and you transcend it, it's released and dissolved. The mind is not perceiving it anymore. So actually it's actually making and recreating itself in the likeness and image of you and being the translator for you instead of the ego. So so the thought processes that you had before are no longer there because it wasn't you at all. Does that make sense? So, and it's just, we want the minds to be the translator. If we didn't have a mind, then we'd all be running into each other and we wouldn't be able to express ourselves, so we want to take the mind with us, okay? But it's not about continuing to live from the mind or reprogramming the mind. It's about bringing you into the heart. So exactly. So you're feeling your heart, and it's harder to find words or to focus the mind. Part of that is still, when I tune into it, the ego is afraid of losing control, right? So now it's now it's telling you a story about how you you basically can't, you're handicapped in some sense, and there may be a part of you that experienced a mental handicap in a past lifetime, okay? So there's something there, okay? But but exactly though. So you're not as focused in the mind, but you're feeling your presence. So there's nothing in the mind. The mind is, that's why so many feel alone. There's no love in the mind. It's just a computer, you know? So, So yes, so we're coming out of the mind and then making life great again. Yes. So Valnik says we have a message. Okay, so he's showing me cannons, and he's showing me cannons uh, launching fiery balls. uh, uh, he says humanity is growing. He says, I observe the chat. I watch with Megan. Uh, uh, he's trying to find the right words for it. Um, he says, so many are looking for power, so many are looking for control. He says, this is not the way home. He says, put your weapons down. He says, open your heart. We are there. And he is showing planet Earth again. And he's showing so much light surrounding planet Earth, okay? And then he's showing everyone on planet Earth putting their weapons down, okay, or putting the ego down, really, and opening their heart. Uh, and then we're connecting with ourselves. We're connecting with everyone and everything, and then also those beings that are in the non-physical or not on Earth. He says, we are ready, we are waiting. He says, open your hearts. And he says the best of the best. So anyways, well, so thank you guys. And I love you guys. And we'll be back with more videos. And have a great rest of your week. Bye now.